if you're new to my kitchen. This is my first time ever trying out cooking ASMR, and I'm so excited to begin this journey with you. Unfortunately, I hope I am able to edit out a little bit. My freezer fridge is going insane. And we're gonna start off with the first released World of Warcraft cookbook. This first episode will contain the basic spices of this World of Warcraft cookbook, which are based on the World of Warcraft video game. I will be using these spices in the future to create more cooking content. I really hope you will enjoy this video. I feel already now that this will be a lot of fun. So let's get into the spices. I managed to find these wonderful spice bottles with a cork lid. These are pretty large, and the recipes only gives like 1/4 of a cup, so they won't be filled up in this video. And I've been trying to make this setup a little bit more thematical with the wonderful poster, the Tankard Terror, and of course I have with me some Mountain Dew. The spices we will be going through today, while my fridge/freezer is making a lot of noise, will be the ancient pandaren spices, the autumnal herbs, holiday spices, and the northern spices. The 4 basic spices of this cookbook. First off is the ancient pandaren spices. The skill level is apprentice. These spices have been a staple ingredient in pandaren recipes for millennia. Since before the time of Emperor Xiaohao, the unique blend of ingredients will bring that history right to your kitchen. What we need is 2 teaspoons of Szechuan peppercorns, 1 teaspoon fennel seed, 1 teaspoon ground cinnamon, half a teaspoon ground anise, half a teaspoon ground cloves, and half a teaspoon ground cardamom. Place all the spices in a dry pan and gently toast them over medium heat for several minutes. This is the only spice that requires heating up in a dry pan before getting grinded down. Okay, so this first recipe of the ancient pandaren spices wants us to deep fry all of the spices first. So we will put them directly into the pan. First off is 2 teaspoons of Szechuan peppercorns. Then comes 1 teaspoon of fennel seeds. Let's open it up a little bit more. This smells a lot. We have 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and this feels a little dangerous to cut open. It is a lot of dust. we only need half a teaspoon of ground anise, half a teaspoon of cloves, which was quite hard to measure out, and finally half a teaspoon of cardamom. That's all the spices for this recipe. Bringing up the pan to medium heat, you will dry stir the spices for several minutes until it becomes fragrant, which is probably the most time-consuming part of this recipe. So that should be it. The spices are now smelling really good. It has gotten a little bit of color, but as you can see in this massive pan, it looks just like a lot of dishes to do. But I will let this cool for a moment, and then we will transport it not to the jar yet, but to a spice grinder. With all of the spices put in the spice blender, you are going to crush it up until there's no large bits left. Which will probably take a little while. This should probably be enough. It is pretty fine, but I need to be honest. Heating up and toasting the fennel seeds and the cloves really makes it smell, to me at least, as weed. I'm happy to not invite someone home right now because they would suspect something else. We're gonna transport it into the glass spice jar with a cork lid. And I don't have any labels, but I think you can smell them pretty distinctively. Which one is which? Just press down the cork so it's airtight, and this ancient pandaren spice will last you for several months. The only thing is, when I bought these glass jars, I thought they would be teensy tiny, and maybe most of the spices went into the pan. This is such a tiny amount, but how cute. This is great, I love it. So that's the first one done. Let's clean up this with a piece of paper and move on to the next. Autumnal herbs. As the days grow short and chilly, our thoughts often turn to time with friends and family and occasions best marked with feasts. This herb mixture is a favorite of Stormwind chefs as they prepare vast meals to celebrate the harvest during Pilgrim's Bounty. 2 tablespoons dried rosemary, 2 teaspoons dried thyme, 1 teaspoon dried marjoram, half a teaspoon ground cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon ground nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon ground ginger, and 1 teaspoon blue cornflower petals, which is optional but brings this wonderful color to the recipe. moving on to the next spice, which is the autumnal herbs. And to begin with, we will need a tablespoon of dried rosemary. Of course, it was 2 tablespoons and not 1. 2 teaspoons of dried thyme. 1 teaspoon of dried marjoram, which is actually a spice I have never heard of, so I needed to order most of these. Half a teaspoon ground cinnamon. These mixtures are really interesting. 1/4 a teaspoon of nutmeg, which is muskotnöt in Swedish. Thankfully I had it at home. 1/4 teaspoon of dried ginger. 'This recipe also calls for 1 teaspoon of blue cornflower petals, which is called blåklint in Swedish. And you will put these petals lastly after blending the rest of the spices. Then you mix until there is no large pieces left of the autumnal herbs. These spices really gives off interesting, different and unique scent that I never smelled before. I am very traditionally northern Swedish. I don't use a lot of spice. I recently gotten into it while cooking a little bit more. But to quote my grandfather, my very dear grandfather, he used to always say, there's 2 spices I use while cooking. One is fine salt and the other one is coarse salt. And what I have read up about these blue cornflower petals is that they can be used for tea, they can be used for cooking or as decorations. I truly love edible flowers, and I'm not quite sure why I haven't heard of this, but once again I'm Swedish. It's not that common to come by at stores or in cooking in general. If any of you Americans can tell, maybe you can buy only the petals in store and you do not need to harvest them the same way I am doing right now. I mean, I probably shouldn't put them back into the bag, but who knows. I really try to use everything without throwing. I don't want to be wasteful. It's amazing how clear blue this color is, even though it's all dried up. Fortunately, most of the petals are in the bottom of the bag. Okay, the fridge is going off once again, but we have about 1 teaspoon of dried corn flour petals, and let's put it in the mix. And just let's stir it about a little bit. That is the autumnal herbs. Let's put it into its glass jar. Once again, it doesn't look nearly as much. This is a little bit more than the ancient pandaren spices, but it does not look like in the cookbook, and that might be because spices look different in different countries. I'm not sure. But let's move on to the third one. We have the holiday spices. With all the warmth and flavor imbued by these spices, an ordinary dish gets a little boost of holiday cheer from the feast of winter ale. You need these spices to whip up Great Father Winter's favorite treats for his yearly visit. This setup is truly getting messy, but now we're on to the third, which is the holiday spices. First up is 1 tablespoon of ground ginger. One tablespoon of ground cinnamon. This is the more winterish themed holiday spice. 1 tablespoon of ground nutmeg. 1/2 tablespoon of ground cloves, which smells like a winter and Christmas for me. Traditionally, we put these in oranges in Sweden for Christmas to hang up, and it smells wonderful. And only 1/4, or do you say 1/4 tablespoon of ground pepper. By now this recipe should be done, but as you can see, I didn't have a fine pepper, I only have coarse milled pepper, and the cloves are not milled, so let's get into milling. This setup is truly looking like a mess, but this was the holiday spices, which are second last. Okay, so we did get quite a lot. Let's make it airtight. Now we have 3 of the 4 spices, so let's clean this up and make the last one. Lastly, we have the northern spices. This aromatic blend of spices will not only increase the flavor of any given recipe, but also add a warming element to dishes. That warmth is a welcome addition in the chilly region of Northland, from which these delicious spices are traditionally gathered. 1 tablespoon cardamom, 1 tablespoon dried juniper berries, 1 teaspoon smoked salt, 1/2 teaspoon pepper, 1/2 teaspoon ginger, 1/4 teaspoon allspice or nutmeg. Now it's time for the last spice, which is the northern spices. My setup behind the scenes looks so messy, but I am having a lot of fun creating this video. First up is 1 tablespoon of cardamom, then 1 tablespoon of dried juniper berries, which I have no clue what it's called in Swedish. It is enbär. 1 teaspoon of smoked salt. I only managed to find smoked sea salt, and you can use, I wish you could smell this through the camera. It has like this smoky barbecue scent to it. It cost me quite a lot, but it was totally worth it. It is a little bit coarse though. half a teaspoon pepper, half a teaspoon ginger, lastly you want 1/4 a teaspoon of allspice or nutmeg. The original recipe calls for allspice. If you can find it, I have no clue what it is, and I managed to find it. We call it kryddpepper. I don't even know what it smells like. Oh, a lot. And let's get into milling. These berries will take quite a while. There should be no big pieces left, which is the dried juniper berries. I'm getting sweaty, it's like a workout. That should actually be it. If there are any large pieces left, I will handle that later, because now I am going slightly insane milling all the herbs. Making it airtight, this was the last. We have made today the northern spices, the holiday spices, autumnal herbs, and the ancient pandaren spices. 1, 2, 3, 4. This was truly a fun video to create, but I really need to clean up my kitchen. Thank you so much for watching this trial video, and please support me on my Patreon if you're interested in more content like this. Have a wonderful, wonderful